Welcome back to Neural Networks for Architects. We are in the last chapter of day 2 with the mathematical thinking towards neural networks. And this chapter is about information and communication, of these two terms. And there's a lot of confusion and fuzziness around, and I want to make that clear so that you have a proper apparatus to work with, instrument to play. And you will see that, interestingly, AI is involved in these conceptions. So AI is not, it's not a tool to solve problems. All this is gravitational. So it's a way of how to, our space, our quantum space of today is a quantum space, and this is full of it. This is a scale we are talking about if we talk about space today. So let's go into detail. Okay. There are two concepts we have to clarify, so because this is fuzzy as well, and they are very important for information technology and computer science. It's entropy and negentropy. So it's the same difference like we made, and this is not properly done in most literature. Like we did with stochastics and probability. So entropy will work with the thermodynamics and the gravity. Negentropy, I would push it with probability towards light and non-gravity, gravitational. So entropy is the measurement of order or something. So in the realm of time, of reality, we have the beginning of time with a Big Bang. Entropy is 1, so you have one point where everything is and the rest is nothing. So it's the most difference you can imagine. So, and all thermodynamics is about that this Big Bang is spreading, and there will be equilibrium. Everything will be the same at the end of time. That's the end of our world. And this is, there the entropy is, let's say, 0. I'm not sure how they do it exactly. Something like that. So therefore it's a measurement of how different these things are. So that's entropy. To get an idea of what negentropy is, I like this setup of Ludwig Wittgenstein, an Austrian engineer, then a mathematician with Russell, and then a philosopher. So, and he said, like any system, language is an ideal and has pragmatic limits. So, and therefore he said, most prominently, and he's one of the most famous philosopher in and influential in 20th century, he said, worüber man nicht sprechen kann, darüber muss man schweigen. Because you can't grasp it, and then you should not talk about it. So this is gravitational, and this is what he got famous with, its so-called tractatus, a kind of the logic of languages, the logic of within reality. What one cannot talk about, one must be silent about it. So, and then most bold, language limits reality. So, this is entropy. In his second book, and he only made these 2 books, and this was post-mortem in 1953 published. And he's saying, and this is our metaphoric, so he's saying, in every day, people are not limited with their language. They picture the world, they make their decisions, and they talk. So, and in our terms is, they look at the world, they make differences, like the aliens, and then they talk with their own voice, and this voice is not part of the language. It's a vernacular language. This is what we, I think, have to develop. So, and this making differences in the pictures of the world, which a kind of constitutes or tempers space. This, I would say, is negentropy. Therefore, entropy is forward in time, and as you will find, like in a lot of places, negentropy is not negative entropy, is not back in time like the difference between stochastics and statistics. Negentropy is out of time. It's an alien thing. Okay, having that, now we say, what is cryptography? Because again, this has a lot to do with what information is about and how to keep it alive in the alien world. So, we have a key. If we are at the end of the world in thermal death, so if there is just entropy is zero, so no differences, this is here, this is white noise, random picture. So this is something like a certain direction towards the infinite horizon, and at the end of time a certain direction towards the edge of the world. So take this, you can take another one, doesn't matter. So this is how the end of the world looks like. So with all the apparatus we have, as we discussed with stochastics, there's no way to predict anything, which means there is no meaning, there is no ideal, as everything is dead. So everything is 0.5, there's nothing you can do. So if you want to have a meaningful picture, it looks like this. For example, Eastwood is this here, and this is of reality. You can make these measurements, and you can identify there is something. You can picture that. So we introduce, this is the how we do. We introduce this function. This is the modular. And this modular is a circulation. It simply has two sides of a circle, a O and a 1, and we simply circulate whatever number there is. And if the number is odd, there should be a 1. If it's even, it should be a 0. So this base of 2. So if we go with these numbers here, put them, then we see 1,001,001. So we can look at the image data of, this is a sequence of data of Eastwood. This is a sequence of towards 300,000 differences, and this is meaningful, and this is the same size of numbers which is without meaning, it's nonsense. So now we can add these two and make them modular. And you see what happens, very simple. So we simply make a modular. So we have about towards 300,000 numbers, and we want to look at it as a picture. It's nothing, which means the end of the world or direction ate. So it really eats the meaning, and Eastwood is gone. So it's not any longer on this planet. There's nothing we can identify. Everything is equal. There's no difference to take. It's out. So, and now there's no way to get Eastwood back, but, so this is called encryption. In cryptography, the keys you have is just to make these keys handy. It's algorithms to make them handy. So you can put it to send it. You can encrypt the key and send it, and then decrypt, and so these all these things. So it's just a mechanism how to deal with it. The principle is, whatever there is, you can put it to the edge of the world with the direction of the edge of the world. Keep it there. And nobody is able to identify, because everything is equilibrium at the end or edge of the world. So what aliens know and keep is the key, respectively the direction towards the end of the world. So, and astonishingly is that if you know the key, so this is a random, this is the direction, then you have an image, an encrypted image, and just do the same thing, the modular of the addition of the key and the cryptic gives you back the meaning. So this is encryption, decryption. And this again is the logarithm and the exponential. You go with whatever it is to the alien and go back to reality, gravitation. So this is a technical way to use these movements. So we can, you can have, of course, you can try it if you make another key here. If you keep this this encryption, if you make any other key here, there will be no Eastwood. You stay in meaningless stuff. Yeah, there's no way to find Eastwood here at all. You even don't see any indicator that there is something at all. It's white noise. So this is how to put things on and off reality. Now information, because we have to fight this entropy. This is what aliens doing. They keep things alive. So it's just the inverse thing towards encryption and decryption. So now we want to have, with information and communication, we want to keep whatever difference we have, we keep them meaningful without touching them. So we have to fight entropy. So this is what the very principal publication here, and basic of all communication technology, is a mathematical theory of communication, 48. You have the link here. So what you do is you have differences, alien-eyed differences. They add redundancies. Then they wait for a certain time. They check and repair, and that's and then they add redundancies, check, repair, redundancy, check, repair, and by that the things keeps alive, and you get it out of time. This is negentropy, negentropic. So let's see how it works in a simple way. So we have these four distinctions, and we want to keep that alive towards eternity. And we want to do whatever it is. So this is how the aliens operate. It's 1001 here. Then we simply make it redundant. Make it, it's blue, it's not assigned. The symbol ds is not assigned. So now we have it 10 times. So then there's an entropic decay. So we say 6 of these numbers within a second or a month, or so 6 of these distinctions should get fuzzy. So therefore it's a kind of decay. We have DS10, sorry. So these, we say 31 should be 0, 14 should be 1, and so on. So it's going towards entropy. That's an entropic noise we put in there, which means our distinctions now, redundant distinctions, are different. So after a certain time, aliens go there and they say, okay, now we have to check. And now we have 10 different versions of our differences. You see, this is different, this is correct, but here there's a mutation, here's a mutation. So, and now we transpose that. These are, it's a voting. What is the first distinction? What is the second distinction? Third and fourth distinction. So, and then we vote. And then we repair. So this keeps stable. So this is a technique, a trick how to keep things away from entropy. And this is negentropic. And this is what technical communication or information and so is about. Again, you can look it up. It's in technical details a little more complicated, but this is the idea. So there's a lot to do with cryptography. There's a lot to do with communication technology. So there are two sides of the same coin. And now communication and intelligence, last talk. Again, the references to Zafiris, natural communication, if you want to go in detail. So you might think this is a common, so communication is transferring information from point A to point B, and this is a real thing. Yeah, if you carry a piece, an object from A to B, this is not communication, this is transportation. So, and this is with gravity. With aliens, you don't have gravity and you have communication. You're talking. You're not working. So, yeah. So, and this is what the aliens did with information. They look at the redundant decayed data after a time span. This was DS10. They talked about it in differences. This was the transport. Then they listened to the result. This was the counting, and then they create new data like the one died in the prior generation. This is DS new in our code above, and this is an act of permanent communication. So, and therefore, this is what is here: looking, talking, listening, creating, looking, talking, listening, creating, and so on. This is continuous. And this is how aliens do that. And this is how communication works. It's always throughout our senses. So, and then if you reason about that, it's a sensor, an actuator, sensor, actuator, sensor, actuator. So these are the bridges we had between the gravitational and the non-gravitational domain. So, and then the visual, the auditive, the visual, the auditive. So you see it's another rhythm. And then you're with the ratio, this is with light, you real with gravity, ratio with light. And this is how things work. And I think this is the access, this is the architectural access to what's happening there in the scale of our space, which is a quantum physical space. So therefore, communication is not a real thing. It's not a rational thing. It covers both in rotation, yeah. And your intelligence is of that you're covering that. It is covering your eyes and ears and your voice and your hand in permanent rotation. This is intelligence about communication and intelligence. And all things of our planet are like this. Think about intelligence as it thinks, like it rains. This is Serre's Incandescence book. Space is full of it. Yeah? This is what quantum physics is telling us prominently. It's both light and matter, waves and particles circulating. So this is, I think, how the setup is given these days towards artificial intelligence, if you want to talk about it. Next days, tomorrow, day after tomorrow, will be the making and the coding. Thanks for listening and see you soon.